Okay, we're ready to go. So, where do you start? You were 24 years old. You lived in WWII. So why don't we talk about what it was like living in WWII back in 1940-ish, in that time.
Gee, what was it like? I don't know. We were children then. You didn't know what was going on. We were all together, you know, on the same street, all kids playing together, and one was poorer than the other. And like once my girlfriend says, we don't know we're poor because we're all the same. Things like that.
Where'd you grow up?
Right on 3rd Avenue, WWII, all my life.
And what were some of the stores? Certainly there wasn't a Price Chopper.
Oh, no. There was the Fercucci's grocery store. Then there was a meat store next to us. I forgot their names. Then there was a fish store, a barber shop, and a mercantile, what do you want to call it, store. On that one street, across the street, was a French notions store where you got materials and stuff like that. And on the opposite corner was the Comey's butcher shop. That was all on the one block. Then on the next street was Binder's Notions store and everything else. Growing up, we're all kids.
And where'd you go to school?
Went to school 8. That's it, school 8.
School 8.
And the truant officer was after me every single day because I'd butt school. We almost had him as a boarder. I hated school. I hated school with a passion, still do. Don't mention school. I get panicked. So, that was childhood growing up. We're all kids, you know.
And you went to high school. Where was the high school?
No. I finished 8th grade.
You finished 8th grade.
They practically had to throw me out because I had the truant officer at my house every single day. My mother'd send me to school and I'd go somewhere else.
So would it be good to say that you were the rebel of the family?
Right.
Yeah.
I would say so.
You would say so. You can get away with that now, right?
I got away with that too. And I don't know, I just hated school. But I learned.
Yep.
You know, streetwise, believe me, it came a long way. The things I would have learned in school, I would not have known in the outside world.
So after 8th grade, what did you do? Did you go to work?
I wasn't old enough to go to work at the time. And they were just turning, you know, where you had to be 16 to go to work before you can go at 10. And I hung around the house. We had the grocery store, so I helped there. And my mother had a bunch of friends that came over, and they worked together. There was a Foreman and Clark, I think, factory here, and they used to get coats, men's coats, and they used to, after they were sewed, they would take the threads out that were basted. And so I would sit there sometimes and help them do that. Then one of the ladies said, why bother this? Because by this time I'd become of age. And why don't you go in a factory if you like sewing that much? I said, yeah, I do. So she got me the job in Tiny Town Togs in Troy. And I loved it. I was a young kid, the only, you know, all the old ladies, I call them old ladies then, they were 28, 30 years old. They all helped me because, you know, I didn't know anything about sewing. I knew sewing, but I didn't know anything about factory-wise. And the boss took to me because I was a young kid, and he would show me how to run the machine. New machine would come in, and he'd put me on it. And after a while, I started complaining because now I was on time work when I was learning the machines, and I was making more on piecework. So I said, I can't do this anymore. I says, I got to make money. So he sat down next to me and he says, Susie, let me tell you, he says, you may lose money now, but you'll be grateful in the end when you learn all these machines. So he was right. In the end, boy, I knew every machine that came in, I ran. And can I brag?
Yeah.
After he had left, there was a lot of changes in the factory. I went to Cluitz and Peabody and worked on the shirts there. And they were sort of making prices on the shirts. And they used me as the tester, how to run the shirts, how to do it fast, slow, or whatever. They were making time on it so that they could put a price on the, garment. And they had a meeting to discuss what they were going to do about the shirts. It was a big meeting with all the union members and all that. So when they were talking about the price of the shirts, I stood up, truant officer, I stood up and said, is there going to be a price on the shirts? And he said, yes. And I says, what are they? So he mentioned the different prices of different parts of the shirt. And I said, is that, the final price? They says, yes, that's the best we could do. So I got up and says, okay, goodbye, I quit. And I walked out of the factory. Now all the girls were saying, no, don't quit, because they liked my work. I was a clean sewer, let's put it that way, so that when they got my work, they didn't have to examine it. They just took it, put it aside, because I'm bragging now, I did such good work that they wanted my bundles to work on so that they could make money. When they got mine, well, that was already money made because they didn't have to examine it. So they all said, don't go, stay with this. I says, I'm sorry, I gotta go out and make money. So I went back to tiny towns. And actually, I knew they would take me back, there was no problem. So that was my growing up years.
And what year was that?
Well, that was just before the war.
So
I worked a few years,
39, 40?
I think it was 43. I was in service, 43, 44, and 45.
Okay, so this is just before the war.
Yeah. So one day I said, my brothers had gone, all my friends had gone, all the boys in WWII there. I said, so I think I'll go too. I just decided like that, I'm going to go. I got to do my part. And I surprised my parents because I didn't tell them I was going to do it. So then one Sunday, sitting down at dinner, I says, I've got a surprise for you. What's that? I said, I joined the Army. Well, my father was thrilled. He told everybody, not that he had 2 sons in the Army, he says, I got a daughter in the Army. He was so proud. Poor guy. He was sick all the while I was away, and I had to come home for his funeral. And that was a sad part. So that was my grown-up life.
Did anybody local go with you?
Not local, but from Waterford. She heard that she worked with me in another department, and found out I was going. She says, don't go yet, wait for me. I said, well, what have I got to wait for? She said, well, I got some bills to pay, and I want to pay them up before I can, leave. So it was about another month or so that she got all cleaned up, and 2 of us went and joined up.
And where did you sign up? Here?
Albany
Albany?
Armory. Yep. That was the only place I think you could go at the time. That's where all the boys went. So from there, we went to Florida for our basic training.
Train, bus? By train or bus?
No, for our basic training.
Yeah.
We went by...
How did you get there?
By train.
By train.
By
Yep.
train. We went by train. The train stopped someplace or other on the way to Florida for a short stop. So they told us that we can get off of the train and go get something to eat if we wanted to, because it was near some place where you could get something to eat. So if one of the girls and I, well, we all got off, but one of the girls and I went to a hot dog stand or something like that to pick something up. And when we got and came back, the train was gone. Well, you want to see two panicked people, was we two. So we saw a soldier. He was like an MP, one of them. So we went to him and said, "We missed our train." He said, "Don't get excited." He said, "We'll get you back on." So they, the next train, he boarded us onto the next train that came along that was going to Florida. So there we were, no money, on a train going to Florida. We couldn't eat. We didn't have our bags with us or anything to buy food. But we survived. We arrived. And thankfully, the girls on the train took our stuff off of the train for us. And we were fine. And it was in Daytona, Florida, that we had our basic training. So from then on, it was Army life.
What was it like down there?
The first night, well, the first night we all got situated, got our beds and all that stuff. And the next morning, we had to get shots. We always formed a line, and there were two doctors on each side. As you went through the line, the two of them, one punched this arm, one punched that arm. Well, it was okay. I didn't feel the shots going in, but sore, I never felt such soreness in my life. My arms were like this, I couldn't move. And you go alphabetically. So there weren't too many A's, B's, C's, D's, but F was always up on top for Coochie. I had guard duty that night. Now, they give me a billy club, and I'm supposed to walk an area. Well, it took the whole night to walk around it. I don't know whether I was slow because of my arms being so sore, I don't know what. But anyhow, pitch black. Here's a girl from nowhere doing guard duty. I had to walk around the whole perimeter. And my arms were like this, holding the billy club. If anybody came along, believe me, there was nothing I could do. So about maybe halfway around, I stopped dead. There across the road was the biggest snake you could ever see. It crossed the whole road, what was as big as my body, and I stopped dead. I said, what do I do? Go past the snake, run back home, or what? So I stood there a while. I said, there's nothing I could do. I can't use my arms. So I slowly walked. I said, if that didn't move, then I'll keep on going. So I took and I stepped over the snake and kept right on going. Believe me, when I got there, I almost ran. I got past it. So now I'm halfway or three-quarters way through. A Jeep comes along with 2 or 3 whacks in it. And I didn't know whether they were officers or not because they didn't have their officers' clothes on. And they yelled at me. Why didn't I salute them? When I said, salute what? I'm in a pitch black. And I'm going to salute them. I don't even know who they are. So I was mad. I don't want to say the other word, but I was mad. I walked around that place and I says, I'll get them tomorrow morning. The next morning, now, I got up. The one thing I had in my mind is I wanted to see who that officer was that stopped me. So I got in and I wanted to say, who was the officer on duty last night? They says, we didn't have any officers on duty last night. So I says, well, somebody was out there, because they approached me in a Jeep and, yelled at me for not saluting them in pitch black. I didn't even see them. So they said, no, there wasn't anybody on duty. So there was nothing I could do about it. Maybe it was a good thing, because if I had said anything, I might have been thrown out of the Army right then and there. So that was my Army days, starting in basic training. We did a lot of calisthenics and marching and all that stuff. Then we were transferred. I went to Arizona. My girlfriend went to Washington. So we split up, and I don't know what happened to her after that, in service. So I get in service. We were at Arizona, just arrived at the barracks. And they says, if you want, you could do your laundry. Since, traveling, you didn't have any clean clothes and all that, so we all went and did our laundry. So it was all nice. They had beautiful laundry room, big. Everybody's washing their clothes. Outside they had those poles with the, what do you want to call them?
The dryers. To
hang your clothes. Just get them all hung up beautifully. A sandstorm comes. They says, get indoors and close all the windows and doors. We're scared to death. We've never heard of a sandstorm, So we all run into the barracks, close all the doors, make sure the windows were closed. The sandstorm took about 5 minutes, however fast they blow through. When we went outside to look at our laundry, they were all brown. So we had to do them all over again. So that was the start of my Army life.
What were you training for?
Nothing. I have no idea how they put you in. Like if you were a secretary, right, you go to a secretary office. I was a machine operator. And I was sent to this office, and when I got there, I was assigned to a mimeograph machine. I said, what's that? I didn't even know what it was. Well, it prints. I said, okay, how did I get from a sewing machine to... I could have been making the Army clothes for all I knew, So that's when I got onto the message center. It was at headquarters. And... do
you remember the name of the base?
Williams Airfield.
Williams?
Yeah, it's training. Williams Training Base, Williams Airfield. And it trained all pilots. That was a pilot field. P-38s. And, well, that's what I started. But it was a tough life for me. Because I said, why am I so fortunate? I always get to do all the hard work, no matter where I went, whatever it was, hard work. So I get into this office, we worked 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. No, 7 days a week. All the others got 5 days a week. I said, why do we have to work 7 days a week? Well, it's a message center. These are where all the messages come in, and we have to be on call if anything important comes in. Okay. So we did that maybe for about I'd say a year or so. And then there was another girl and I. There was about 3 fellas in the room. And we started to complain. We said, it's not fair. All the other girls have 5 days, and they have weekends to go into town. I said, I've been here a year. I said, I don't know what the town is like. So then they said, well, all right, we'll give you Sunday afternoons off. That doesn't help. So after a while, we got it so that we worked half days Saturdays. And this was my job to run the mimeograph machine. There was a secretary that made up the stencils, and I had to run them off. Now, anything that came through the field went through that machine. And all the graduations, the boys that graduated had to have a copy. So I had to make a copy for every boy that graduated from the field. It was about, I'd say 300 a month. A lot of soldiers, a lot of you know.
To learn how to
Pilots.
fly?
Yeah. What?
They were learning how to fly?
That's where they learned how to fly.
Mhm.
P-38s, you know, those twin planes.
Yep.
Or what do you call them? So my job was that I had to get these papers out for them for graduation. There were like 35 pages that they had to be stapled together. And that was every month they graduated. That many pilots, every month they graduated. And so I was there 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to get these graduation papers for the boys on time. It was a grueling job, not a hard job, but the time I had to put in. It didn't matter what time I had to get those papers out for the kids to have their papers when they graduated.
Well,
So that was my life.
what was it, the news of the war like? What was going on at that time? Do you remember?
You want to know something? Being on a base, an army base, we knew nothing of the outside world. We did our jobs, that was it. We didn't know what the heck was going on or...
They kept you isolated. You were isolated.
I would say more so, yeah. You're on a base. The base is as big as a city. And you had everything right there. You had your theaters, your post office, your tavern. Whatever you needed, you had at the hospital. Was right there. It was like a city, you know. And so really, you didn't have to go far for whatever you needed, you know. You went to the theater, you went to dinner, you know, you had a social life on the base, but it was strictly Army. You had to go to town in order to see civilization. But we had a good time. I enjoyed every minute of it. I loved what I was doing, and I got to meet an awful lot of friends. I went to breakfast, well, the message center. The entire post had to come there to pick up their mail, besides having a mail post office. That was for personal mail, you know. But for military mail, everything had to come through our office. So naturally, you get to meet a lot of people. So one day the priest came in. They picked up their own mail too. And asked if I had my coffee break yet. So I says, no, I says, I'm just about to. He said, well, come on. He says, come with me. So I went with the Catholic priest to the PX, and we had our coffee. Next morning, the chaplain, minister there came in. You ready for your coffee? Yep. He said, let's go. I went with the minister. Now, this is not one morning after another. It might have been 1 week. This and that. The next time was the rabbi I went to have coffee with. So one of the girls asked me, she said, what is your religion? I said, I'm Catholic. I said, why? She said, well, one day you're with the Catholic, one day you're with the minister, the next day you're with the rabbi. So we wondered what you were.
Sounds like one of those jokes.
Right, it was. So this is how I got to meet the people. And it was very interesting getting to meet the different type people, you know, the soldier boys. But I got to meet everyone in my position. I was grateful for that. I didn't care how many hours I put in after that was worthwhile. Yep. And then we had military parade when a dignitary came in, you know. So we had to put on a whole shebang, all the outfits, and the women marched. You know how you see the parades, and I loved that. This is me. I was military. I loved that parade, and I couldn't go to be in the parade because I was working on Sundays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I said, I don't like this. I said, I want to be in a parade with all the other, WWIIs. So I got to be in a couple of them. There was a couple of them on the military field. It's like a football field. They had a big field where they put on these shows. Then another time, I don't even know who the dignitaries were. Could have been the president, I wouldn't know. We were just told we had to march, and that's what we did. And so we marched on the tarmac where the planes come in on, It was the most beautiful thing I ever felt. I was so proud, the tears came down my eyes. It was so gorgeous. Seeing all these planes in a field and all these soldiers marching on that, where the planes land, the tarmac. So, to me, that was everything. It was being worthwhile being in service, doing all that. I felt proud. Then, until now. Whole different story. This government about, well, I shouldn't say it.
But there's been a change. There's a change.
You can cut it out can't you?
Yes, I can.
Right. I felt so proud that when they mentioned the Supreme Court, I said, as long as we have that, I don't have to worry about anything. I was so proud of them. Today, if you ask me about the Supreme Court, don't listen to me. Because it's a whole new ball game. You can't trust anybody anymore. I think
there was a different feeling back then. Yeah.
No, they're different. They're different people. Different. Who's true, who's false. You know that with politics today. You're in it. You know it.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a. Today, this is off the records I'm talking now. You rely on your government to run your country for you, keep your life safe and all that. They were so different then,
Yeah.
They were so respectful. I don't know, it's a different world today. Oh, I could go on and on. It would take hours. The things that I've seen,
So when you were there till you started in 1943.
43, 44, and 45.
45.
Yeah.
And you were there in, would you say Arizona?
Chandler Field, Arizona.
Chandler Field, Arizona.
I spent all my time there.
All your time there.
Yeah.
And then what?
Then I got discharged and come home.
Didn't think of staying?
Yeah, well, no, at the time, if they had, as we were being discharged, or getting our papers, and they changed their mind about disbanding the Women's Army. They says, we're going to keep it. I says, I'm already out, discharged. Should I go back or should I not? I said, nah, I think I'll go home, And that was it. If it not happened, I might have stayed in.
They were talking about disbanding it.
They didn't talk about it. They just, when we were being discharged, that was the end of the Women's Army. But it was when I got my discharge papers, were all being let go, we heard over the air that the government decided to keep the Women's Army. But we were already, discharged by then, so I came home.
How'd you hear the news of the war ended? How did you hear the news that the war ended?
It's ironic. I was in town. And it came over the air while we were in. I was in the restaurant, and the news came over the air. It said war was over. Wow. So it was nearing the end anyhow. You could almost feel it. You could tell by the messages coming through, you know. They were not as important. They were easing out.
What were some of the messages?
I don't know.
Oh, you didn't see them.
They were all sealed. The only thing I knew was what I printed on the paper. The mimeograph machine did the work. Yeah. You got all the local news, stuff like that. But it was very interesting. I mean, we had the PX where we had all our activities. We had a theater that, believe me, I was in a theater every night it changed. And it was almost like an active town. You could do anything you want. They had everything there just like a city. But I gotta say, unless you worked past the PX, it was almost half of the area. Women were not allowed to go past that area. Because that's where all the soldiers were, and they didn't want no hanky-panky. But I will say, our field of women were #1 on the list for not having any pregnancies or, you know, that could go wrong, which there were a lot, they say. The women got discharged because they got pregnant and all that stuff. Yeah. Oh, I missed the best part. When we arrived on the field, we had orientation, which meant we went to this theater and the colonel of the post was going to speak to us. You know, the wax came and welcome us and all that stuff. He got on a stage and he says, "My name is Colonel Grills." He said, "I want to tell you, I did not want you here. I don't want you here, but I have to take you." That's how we were greeted when we got on that field. Tears came down my face. I says, I left home for this. Supposed to be the Army, you know. I never liked that guy. Couldn't take the, and I worked from here to there. You know, our office was here. His major's office was there, and then his office. That's how close. Never got to see him. I don't know whether he was there or wasn't there. Just didn't care to see him after that greeting. But in the end, he got on the stage, made a mistake. He couldn't have had a better bunch of women if he, you know, ordered them. So I says, well, this didn't leave him off the hook. I still don't like that greeting. So
Yeah.
that was my Army life.
What would you tell somebody going into service now?
I don't know. From what I hear, I don't like it. Because they're not on a base. Now, I don't know if this is all over. Even the men. They're not on a base. They're in a civilian house, say living in WWII, living in a house. And then they go on a base to do their job or something like that. That I didn't like. And I kind of think it's rather expensive for the Army to, you know, house each one and paying them for housing and all that stuff. Why couldn't they stay on a base like we were? I thought it was great.
Now there were a number of other WWII women that went to service. Did you?
I don't know of many outside of Lou DiNuzzo's wife.
Edna, yep, Edna Purcell.
And I don't know if, do you know of any?
There were a few others. Britton, Mildred Britton, I think was one. There were several. I think I can't remember all their names, but there were several that We had them when we were talking to, or doing that World War II, down at the Memorial Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were several. Did you ever get together with Edna and them?
No.
No.
They never did anything. And I, don't know why. I belong to different organizations, but not with the military, Well, they were military like me, but no other whack. Well, I don't even know if they were nurses or if they were whatever. I was in the Army attached to the Air Corps, but then there was the Army with the Army. My field, I didn't want to be a stenographer. I just wanted to sew, and that I was good. Can I brag?
You did.
I worked in Clute and Peabody, right? And the day that I don't know how to say this. They used me to do a certain operation on the shirt. They made shirts. And they showed you, say I was putting a collar on, right? Okay. They showed you that, no, wrong, cuff. That was a cuff. And they showed you that you were supposed to say, put that cuff on, so, and so. Right? You stopped to get around the cuff. So when they used me as a tester to try to put a price on the garment. So I says, well, I told the instructor there, I says, I'm going to do it my way. Because usually they'll put a person to do it and they'll stall in order to make a price. So I says, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the best way I could. And then if I can't make it, nobody can make it. It was as simple as that. So I did the cuff. And I went zoom right in one shot. The guy says, try it again. I did the whole bundle of sleeves, cuffs, and without any stop in the garment. He says, I don't believe it. He says, because usually the most would be make one stop at least. And I did it all in one. So then it got all over the shop that this girl, because they didn't know who I was, this girl did the operation in one shot. Nobody could do that. So on the billing they had, through these portals, there's 1 in a million. And they said, she's it. So that made, how would you say, wanting to do sewing. It made me proud because I says, well, at least I'm a good one. Because I didn't want to be a stenographer. I didn't want to be a, I just wanted to sew. I made all my own dresses. So that was my life.
Did you work for Tiny Town for years?
I was with, well, it was only twice that I left. They always took me back. I never had to worry. The one time it was the forelady. I think she didn't like me. I'm going to put it that way. Didn't like me. I don't know if she did or not. Didn't like me because I knew more than she did. So then I didn't like it because the way she was handing out the work, because it was piecework. And you had to go to her every time you wanted a bundle of work. I said, that's wasting time. Give us a good amount so that we could sit down and do it and make some money. But you had to waste time walking back and forth losing money. So I complained about it. And so I said, well, if nothing's going to be done, I quit. So I left. And I went to a blouse factory in Green Island. I did that for a while. I said, nah, I don't like blouses. I like children's dresses. So the forelady was gone from Tiny Town, so we went back to Tiny Town. Then I don't know what else happened. I didn't like the new boss that we got, so I quit again and went to Clothes and Peabody. Then when he was gone, I went back again. So I know, I knew they would take me back. There was no problem. But see, I just like dresses. I didn't like the blouses. I didn't like the shirts. But I like the children's clothes because there was a lot of details.
So how many years did you work, how many years did you do sewing for work?
For work, 40 years.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You retired from
Tiny Town.
Tiny Town.
I didn't retire. I never retired. The place closed down. So I said, that's it. I'm not going any place anymore. And that was it. Of course, you don't want to know about Tiny Town or any of that. Just the
No,
Army.
Yeah, that's whatever.
Where was that?
What?
Where was it located? Tiny Town.
Tiny Town? Right at the end of River Street. River and Adams. They had a furniture place there.
Old Brick? That was Old Brick Warehouse?
Yeah, Old Brick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I walked there from my house to there every day, winter time. Oh, that's all we had in them days. When I walked in there, as a matter of fact, I think my end tables came from Old Brick. I says, imagine I worked in this building for years. I said, it never looked like this. Yeah, I was surprised.
Okay.
But we had lovely bosses, that I gotta say. They were 3 Jewish partners that ran Tiny Town Togs. And they were very, very generous. Holiday came, I won't say they paid us for the holiday, but we could have the holiday off. But then when it came like, I'd say Christmas time, mostly Christmas, they would give us a day off with pay. And they always gave us a party, a Christmas party. At first they had it in the factory, and they brought entertainers from New York to entertain us. And in the meantime, the union was trying to get in. I never went for the union. I always fought it. And so somehow or other, the time workers decided maybe it was a good thing. And so they signed up for the union. And when they signed up for the union, all the goodies stopped. The bosses were crushed. They says, we gave you everything. We put the raises up when they came and all that. What else did you want? So we got the union. We didn't have the holidays, so we didn't get the days off. We lost everything instead of gained.
All right, so we're here. We're back here again today, looking at the let's say the scrap album that Sue Rossetti had, and we're just going to go through several of the pictures, and Sue's just going to tell a story about her time while she was in the service. Sue, this is your album. When did you put that together?
Oh, in 45, 6. I'd say more 6 after I got out of service. This was my bunk bed.
Looks comfortable.
And there was 25 others in the room,
25 bunk beds in one room?
all lined up in a row. And that was mine. And you had to have a perfect, you know, the blanket had to be so stiff that when you dropped a quarter on it, that was their test. The quarter on it, the quarter bounced, your bed was made okay. If it didn't bounce, do it over.
Just like your room when you go home and make your bed,
Right.
right?
My beds are always made. This is on the, I'm gonna call it bivouac. We hiked 10 miles to get there. When we got there, we had to set up our tents. Let's see, these are my pals.
And again, how old were you?
24 at the time.
24. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the women were how old then?
I'd say 20s, like 21, 22, after high school.
After high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the bivouac area.
And those are all the
Yeah.
tents that you...
All the tents we had to
set
put up. This is the training we went through, just like the men did,
Now, how
And-
many days did you stay here?
just overnight.
Just overnight.
That's all, just to practice how to put up a bit of camp.
Ah.
And we'd have a plane flying over us, dropping flour bags like we were being attacked. I
Wow.
didn't see any of that. It was just like the fellas had to go through. Now, this is our latrine. There was no
Yeah.
outhouses, you know, you had to build your own, and that was it.
Oh my gosh.
And what's this
Yeah.
here?
Well, probably some of the
Foot
guys,
deeper
there were
or-
there were half men and half women that were there at that day. So that, I don't know who they
Maybe
are.
it's just a foxhole.
Yeah. I'm assuming anyhow, unless they're putting their tent up, you know. And, well, these are it's a recreational time. These are the trucks that we used. It's kind of hard to explain.
So it was a tourist area. What's a Sea Breeze Tourist Village?
Okay, now my sister and friend came out to visit me. So this is where
Where they
stayed.
stayed?
Right.
Now
So
I
this
see
is their-
Arizona.
Yeah. So see, there's pictures intermixed. This is where they were here. I don't think anybody's interested in that.
Your sister, Fran?
Fran,
Oh, okay.
Which
Yeah.
one's Fran?
Fran
oh
Farcucci.
God, without my,
Can't tell.
that's Bauer, that's Fran, that's me.
Oh, this one here
It's
says Fran too.
Fran,
Yeah, yeah.
right, that's her. There she is too. It's mostly them, the two girls.
What was a Fran I didn't know?
Yeah, right, yeah, right. She was a little Fran then. And, you know, it's hard for me to believe after 50, 60 years, 70 years that I'm looking at these things.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just so in case you don't remember, Sue is 100 years old.
Oh,
Doesn't look
I
it.
gotta tell you. This was a buddy of mine on the post. That was his wife, and I was sponsor for the baby.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I had a lot of friends. They were all men. But that's true. They kept me up with the baby, you know. This one was my boss on the post. And he was the light of my life. I loved him dearly, not as a boyfriend,
Right.
as a friend. We came to be very, very close, we became. These are my best friends. This boy was sent overseas and got killed coming off of the ramp. It was the nicest kid you'd want to meet.
That's a great picture.
That is a nice
Yeah.
picture, yeah.
Now, so that's the uniform?
That's a summer uniform.
Or summer uniform?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime you see me, it's uniform, except when I'm home.
And it's Williams
Yeah,
Field, right?
that's Williams Field. The whole thing is Williams Field. This, you know why that? One of the girls gave me a parachute that was defective. They said they gave it to her, get rid of it. So somehow or other she must have known I did some sewing. So she had brought it to me. She said, would you like, the parachute with silk, beautiful. I said, yeah. So I went to town and got a pattern for a nightgown and negligee, and I made it.
You
All this
out of a parachute?
out of parachute. It was beautiful.
Out of a
The silk was so soft,
Yeah.
It was great.
What color was
And
it?
white. The
Oh, okay.
the
I guess they
parachute is
were-
Yeah,
white.
white, yeah.
Or cream, whatever, white.
Oh my
And I went
god.
to town and I bought lace to put lace inserts in here, fit the body. I don't know if
Like
she was
the
a good
seamstress,
example,
too.
but
Wow. That's beautiful.
it was really. This is all lace in there. And the negligee had the long sleeves with the big wide cuffs and all the buttons down. And it had the same lace insert here and all the little buttons putting it together. It was beautiful.
You're very talented.
Well, this is when I came on furlough. This is my girlfriend. I don't know if you knew the Bazones.
Mm-mm.
No.
From Troy?
No, Waterville.
Waterville,
Oh,
Bazone.
Waterville, yeah. This was our grill.
Your family grill?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, this is here in Waterville?
yeah. These are all Waterville. I'm on furlough now. See, that's when I say you'll get a mix.
And what was the name of
Did
the
you
tavern?
Queenie's Tavern,
And where was that?
right on 3rd Avenue. You know where the Balboa Club is?
Yeah.
A couple of doors in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you bartend there, or who bartended there? Maybe Fran did, or?
Well,
Was it
Fran
your
and
mother?
Jewel, and
Oh, Jewel,
Jewel
okay.
did it. I was in service.
Okay.
Oh, wow. And a horse and buggy.
That was a farmer up on the hill here, right on the top of the hill. Had a farm there that was before it developed. And he used to come every day with his horse and wagon and his dogs. They were beautiful. And one of the fixtures, was like family.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I never heard that grill there before.
Really?
Never heard
Oh,
about
yeah,
it.
it was
yeah.
very
I'll
famous
have to go
during
look
the
for it.
war. It's
Yeah.
gone.
Huh? The building is gone?
The building is there, but it's not a grill anymore.
Right,
I think it's
right.
a home for waywards or whatever. It started out that way. This is my sister Zena. She's hiding her
Oh.
pregnancy.
Oh my gosh.
That's her husband. I think there's Jewel. That's Jewel. That's my brother Henry. And I don't know if you knew the Bazone boys.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
No.
No. That's Henry?
I know the name.
This one in uniform.
Mhm.
We'll see pictures of him. This is my mother. Now this is my nephew Joey. You met Joey, didn't you?
I think so.
Yeah. Fran. And this was the second boy, Francis, who I stood up for, but he was 2 years old when I got home to stand up for him as sponsor. So when he got baptized, he walked out.
Oh, gee.
He walked down the aisle. This is, I think, the one day I had off, or one weekend, we went to Prescott, Arizona. It was winter time. And those are the only 2 snowballs I could make out of the ground.
Oh,
That's-
jeez. That's all the
how-
snow they had?
That's how warm it was,
So Williams Field was just the Air Force base?
Yeah.
Or the Army
Army Air Force.
Army Air Force.
Yeah.
Army Air Force.
Just was the whole thing. Chandler was where the base was located. And they had one guy who was the mayor, the policeman, anything that you wanted to call it in a city, he was every one of them, because I think the whole town was his ranch. So he was, everything. So we were invited one weekend to the ranch, and then we got to ride the horses.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I can't find me where I think that's me there. So it was really beautiful to, be invited to something like that.
It looks beautiful with the, the background, all the...
The background was Camelback Mountain, if you ever heard of it. Famous mountain at one time. This is when we were going there. That's me.
Nice picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what year about was this again? 40,
From 43 to 45.
43 to 45.
Yep. That is our back patio. It was nice. It had all the lawn furniture and everything on it. Yeah.
At the base?
At the base.
Oh,
see, that's
thanks.
the barracks.
Oh,
See right
okay.
there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. It's got the little thatched roof and
Yeah.
and the whole bit.
It was really nice. We had everything. I'll tell you that. We didn't lack. Oh, we didn't lack for. Oh, these are. Oh, this is our laundry room. It was a big area and had machines, washing machines and all that, and everything you wanted was right in there for laundering. This is the.
Was that you ironing?
Yep, that's me ironing.
Okay.
That's me too. I don't know where the guy came in. Yeah. She was the stenographer for the colonel. It was the colonel's office, his what do you call it? The major, who did everything for the colonel. And then there was the sergeant major that took care of the officers, and she was the secretary. Then came us. She typed up all the material that I printed.
All that, like the classified stuff? Or
Everything, whatever,
well, then,
anything that went out of that office. Whatever she printed, typed, I printed. I liked it. I like this picture of me.
that's a nice picture.
Yeah. That's that back patio.
Church on Post.
On the well, it was a building. Saturday night was for the rabbis. Sunday morning was 10 o'clock for the 8 o'clock I think for the Catholics, and 10 o'clock for the or vice versa, whatever. So all you had to do was change the altar. But it was a cute little church.
Is that you?
Nope. I'm not that sexy. This is one of my roommates, and they had a, what do you call it, amateur night or something like that, and anybody on the post that was talented could enter it,
Oh, yeah?
So she entered it, and I said, what could she do, She was always wishy-washy. And she come out and sang Make Believe. The tears rolled down my face. She sang so beautiful. I said, better than any of the ones you see in the movies. This is a sunrise mass on Easter.
Oh.
It was done
nice.
outdoors. And so we all went.
That's a great picture.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like the altar is almost looks like the back of the car, really.
I wouldn't doubt it. It was all you know, rigged up thing.
Kind of makeshift
Right.
altar and so forth.
What could you do out in the desert?
Yeah, right.
It was beautiful, beautiful morning, you know. Oh. These are my friends that I went into town with. That is a story. This is one of my buddies. When I say buddies, I had three guys that we were like this, you know what I mean? Now I don't know how to say it. My buddy from Massachusetts, who remained in Arizona, had children. Naturally, one was a girl. And lo and behold, that girl marries a guy that's on 23rd Street.
Oh my gosh! How crazy is that?
Right.
How did that happen?
I have no idea.
Like-
I don't know if you know the people. She's a friend of my girlfriend, Lena. She lives between 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue on 23rd Street, a little house in the middle of this street there. I think you might know her if I could think of her name. Well, isn't that ironic?
Yes. That's really unbelievable. Talk
It
about a
is.
small world.
So you can't get away with anything.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
It's really interesting.
Now,
What was the name?
Tony Mata,
Tony Mata.
yeah.
Okay.
And he was a carpenter, if you want to call it carpenter. He built the PX on the base. He did all the building and all that.
Wow.
He was very good at it. In fact, I have a little clock that he made for me and sent it to me after service, you know.
Oh, nice.
I still have it. But I couldn't get over that. Watervliet, New York, after...
That,
Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It
What are the
is
chances of
amazing.
that? I always say Watervliet people are everywhere.
right.
Just everywhere. They're just...
On the post, they could never say my name. I don't know if I told you that. They could never say Forcucci. Why? I have no idea. When they said names that were harder to say and spell.
Yeah.
So I was never known by my last name because everybody was known by their last name. And I would say, here I am, Susie. Here I'm Susie. Then I got to be a PFC, PF Susie. And what do you call next grade? Corporal Susie, then Sergeant Susie. And everybody'd look, you know, as if to say, why Susie? You know?
Oh, right, yeah.
I don't get any ideas.
Oh my God, right.
So I was on the phone one time. I had to call the major. So I said, Major Rhodes, this is Sergeant Susie. I had to laugh because there was a boy sitting there waiting to be taken care of. And he went, don't get any ideas. So that's
my
what I had to
gosh.
go through. Then maybe 2.5 years into service, one day I'm walking to my barracks, you know, I think it was lunchtime or something, I don't know. And all of a sudden I heard, Sergeant Forcucci. I stopped dead, like somebody shot me. I couldn't move, you know. I turned around and I said, you said my name. The first time I heard it in all that time.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I don't
Because
know.
it's not a difficult name.
No, the easiest name to spell.
Right. It's actually, it's spelled the way it sounds.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so.
Even if you
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
says choo choo or coo. Oh,
Yeah.
this guy, yeah. This is what I was getting at. He went on vacation, on furlough, you know, and sends a postcard. Okay. One day I get a call from the post office and said, I got a card here, but we don't know who it belongs to. And I said, well, what does it say? It says, all it says on there is choo choo having a good time. I went to the post office, picked up the card, and I laughed. I laughed like hell. I says, that's what he calls me. I says, and that's how I got a card?
Oh my God.
That's how I got a card, choo choo, you know?
Right. That is too funny.
Oh, it was the funniest thing. He taught me how to drive.
Oh.
He says, I'll teach you how to drive if you give me Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson was a bottle of whiskey that the family sent me.
Oh.
I said, Jesus, I said, what are you trying to do? Get me in jail? Don't do that again. Well, he saw it. He said, okay, he said, I'll teach you how to drive if you give me the bottle of whiskey.
Oh my
I said,
gosh.
okay. Now, he had 2 cars. We'll see the other one. He had a new modern car. You know, a lot of these people I don't even know myself because I never took pictures. These were all, you know, given to
Right,
me.
yeah.
This was the show that they were putting on.
Oh,
When
like the
when
talent
that
show.
girl entered the talent show.
The talent show? Mm.
Yeah. See, they already had men before when they were doing it. This is why you see all these men. Then we women infiltrated their field. They had dates with the girls on the post, and it happened that there were 4 boys and 3 girls. So they had to find another girl, and they got me. This is Henry.
Oh, this is Henry,
Yeah,
huh?
this is Henry. Now we exchanged letters, and his letters were like a magazine. It took you an hour to read it.
Oh, wow.
So my boss had said one time, I'll give you 5 minutes to read your letter. Well, that was him on his base.
Now, where was he? Where
He was in
stationed?
Florida. Macon, I think. The
Okay.
base out there, right? Yeah, I think it was Macon.
I was wondering, how long,
This
do you
is
have any
our
idea
book.
how long it would take for a letter to get from him to you, from Florida to Arizona? I'm just curious.
At one time, it used to take 3 days.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
No, but now I think it's overnight, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
really fast.
I'll tell you, it was an amazing life. It was a serious time, but I'm going to say it were the best years of my life. I loved every minute that I was there. This is when we went horseback riding. That was all the prairie. They had all the cactuses and everything.
Well,
Yeah, yeah. It was beautiful.
Did you ever go back out?
Yeah.
You did?
Most disappointing time of my life was when I went out there to visit. The field was gone,
Oh.
and it was all houses.
Oh.
Yep. The city grew.
Yeah.
There, I says, there's me no more.
Mm.
Like I say, they were not my pictures. I didn't take them. They were my friends, and they all made sure I got copies. So that's probably who they are. It's our underwear.
This?
Yeah. That's what they gave. That's not what we wore after that. Okay, this is my message center, mine, where I worked.
That's you.
That's me.
Mm-hmm. That's a great picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And back there, these were the slots.
Yeah.
One were the incoming in the post, the other were the ones out of post. There was 2 sections.
Mhm.
That's me too. There's Henry, my brother. Oh, there's the car. Okay. That car was his baby. It was a Tin Lizzie. I forgot what he called it. And he had a brand new car. He had 2 cars on the post. So when he wanted the bottle of whiskey, I thought he would teach me on that car because it was an old car. So, oh no, nobody touches that car, teaches me on the new car.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Then when I had to take my test, because I went for the car test on the post, and I took it in a 1.5-ton truck. And you had to go over a mound, big mound, and it was only wide enough for the truck. So I says, I got to go over that. I don't know if it was worth getting the license or not. He says, yep, if you want to pass the test, you've got to go over that. So I says, well, what if, anything happens? He says, every man for himself.
Oh my gosh.
But I made it.
So that's, you got your license when you were in the Army?
Right.
Oh my God.
Yep. And I only got it for out of necessity, otherwise I didn't care.
Really cool.
That's one of the crashes there. We had a lot of crashes.
Really?
Yeah. And it was our office that got all the pictures, you know, just what you wanted to see. I'm trying to find this. My best buddy, I said that I loved, got married, and we went on his honeymoon. We went overnight on a camping trip. I think there was about 8 of us,
Oh my God.
and we pitched a tent, and the bride and groom slept in the tent, and we had to sleep outside on our.
Oh jeez.
We had a ball. I'm trying to find where the. Oh, I hitchhiked by plane one time. Tony, the fellow I was talking about, and I had at the same time a furlough. So there was a pilot in the office and said, if you're going, east, whatever, if you're going home, there's a plane that's going to New York, if you want to, take it. No, it was going to Kansas. So if you want to ride to Kansas, then you can do
Yeah.
whatever you want from there. Okay, so Tony and I hopped onto the, I think we'll come to it. It's Don Amici, and I think it's his wife. They come to entertain, We got a
I was
lot
gonna
of,
say Don Amici, like the
the movie,
entertainer?
no,
Oh.
the movie star.
The movie, okay, right.
Yeah,
That's
movie
cool.
star. These are all the crazy things you do when you least expect it.
Now, was she in the service too?
Nope,
No.
she was civilian, and I visited them in Georgia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is everything we did that day
Oh, on the honeymoon.
on the honeymoon. We went boating. We that's why you see all the mountains. We made a really good weekend out of it. And there was no, you're mine and I'm his, or we're just friends.
Mhm.
The married couple were the only ones that were joined.
That's nice.
Yeah. It was nice because it gave the Army boys a relaxation too by,
Mhm.
mixing in the bride and groom. When he went out on a date and his clothes were all soiled, he'd bring them to me and say, could you launder them for me? I got a date tonight. So one time I did, I said, hey. I said, why am I doing it for you? What's the matter with me?
Oh my gosh.
This is formation, I think. Yeah. We had parades.
Oh.
Every once in a while we'd have a formal parade, or if a dignitary came in, then it was formal. Wow. That was the proudest moment of my life when I paraded.
And these are all of the,
Yep.
your,
These are the men, We had a white contingent, black contingent, and then the whack.
okay.
So there were,
Really, that's interesting.
and we competed. Which group marched the best? And,
Wow.
we got the prize one time.
Oh, you did? The
Yep.
women did?
Yep,
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
that's when we were hopping on the plane. We had to wear our jumpsuits or whatever you call them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To be on the plane and stuff. Okay. General
Yeah.
Eisenhower. Wow.
Okay, now he said, I want you to know. He said anybody going east could use his plane. So Tony and I had gotten to the Kansas there, And, well, we stayed overnight because the plane was being repaired.
Mm-hmm.
And to fly back, we had to wait overnight for it to be finished. He got to go to the barracks and sleep for the night. They gave him housing for the night. I had to sleep in the latrine, the ladies' room.
So Tony got to go to the barracks overnight?
Yep.
And you
And
had
I-
to stay?
And I didn't have no
Oh.
place to go, so I had to sleep overnight in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Because there were no wax facilities out there.
Right. So did you fly back then
Then,
on
the
General
next
Eisenhower's
morning,
plane?
his plane was ready, and we got the flight on Eisenhower's plane to New York.
That is so cool.
Is it?
Yes, really.
And while I was on the plane, because I did not sleep in a bed overnight, I slept on Eisenhower's bunk on the plane. I
You
fell
did?
right to sleep. In the
Oh my
meantime, there was an artist on the plane. I think he used to be in the newspaper. Bill Thomas, I don't know if ever he used to make the cartoons
Mm-hmm.
in the paper. Well, he drew my picture laying on the bed. And he also drew a plane, one of the P-38s, it's twin engines. And when he drew the picture, I wanted it, you know. He says,
Yeah.
he says, you're not getting this. He says, but you can have the airplane.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
cool. That's really interesting.
I really had interesting moments. But that flight was something.
I would bet. General Eisenhower, holy mackerel.
There was no steps to get up to the plane, you know. And I said, well, how am I going to get up there? Any way you can. So he gets on the plane, but you know how you get up and...
Oh.
So that's how I got on the plane out.
Oh,
Wow.
you did? Oh my gosh.
That was the only way.
See, who would ever think that there
Yeah.
would be no stairs to get up in the plane? Like,
Believe
how
me-
many people would it hold, do you think? Was it a big one? A big plane?
His plane?
Yeah.
No. To me, inside, I don't know about the outside, you know,
Yeah.
big enough. But you know how you take these little flights?
Mm-hmm.
You go from, like, let's say, New York to Florida, you take the small plane,
Yeah.
like that.
I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
Really, General Eisenhower.
Yeah, and it was pink and green.
Really?
Pink on the inside. The pink walls on top were pink. The walls on top were pink, and the walls on the bottom were green.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just funny to see
The general's plane.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Pink and green.
Pink and green. That's
yeah,
interesting.
a deep pink and a dark green like the plant there.
Wow.
Yeah. Now that's him there too. This was the occasion that this Tony Mata, the one my friend there, built the PX.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is, right? Post exchange, where you got everything, grill, bar, everything there. And they were looking for a name for the place. So she's the one that gave the name of Willie's Hangar. So now they were celebrating. We all had a big party that night to celebrate that the place had a name.
Willie's Hangar.
Yeah. So that's the first time I see the guy. No,
That's not you?
no. She was the one that trained us marching. And she didn't last very long. She was transferred. But she's the one that put us all in action. She was very good. We're sorry to see her go, you know. That's me there, message center.
Oh, okay. Now, what is in back of you there?
Those are the slots of the mail.
Oh, okay.
See, I got to know a lot of people on the post because of that. Every officer or every person from each contingent there had to come and pick up their mail. So this is where they came to pick it up, and I got to know everybody by coming to pick up their mail.
Now, this is interesting that that's in color.
Yeah.
That's a color picture.
Yeah.
Just,
I have no idea. a boy, he was with the photography. And he took all the pictures on the post, everything that happened and all that. So one night I was working, and he came in, and there was a promotion coming up. I didn't know it. He's the one that told me. He said it was between me and him. I don't know. I have no idea. He says, well, that is, you know. He says, oh, I got the promotion. I got the promotion. And he had said that because it was you, he says, I didn't mind losing. He says, if I had to lose to anybody, it would be you.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. I thought
Nice,
that
yeah.
was very
Yes,
nice of him.
really.
Yep. Then he put my picture in the paper. I wish I had that. I gave it to my
that's
niece.
nice.
My whole head, or my, you know,
Mm-hmm.
is on the front page.
Wow.
And it says the infallible Susan Forcucci.
Oh
And
my
there I
God.
am, half asleep.
Oh.
It was 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to run a mimeograph machine.
Oh my God.
And is that in the local paper there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they had everything there. Everything. Police station, newspaper place, you name it, like a city. Everything.
So who has that?
My nephew Tommy's daughter.
Okay.
She's in service. The 2 daughters are in service.
Oh, okay.
When I say in service, they're National Guard. They're not in the Army.
Mhm.
They're out of the Schenectady airport, I think. This, I don't know if these are, and this was on the border of Mexico and Arizona. No, what the heck? No, it's a great Casa Grande ruins. Did you ever hear of them?
Okay.
And not knowing it, we had 2 cars, you know, different, you know, people, here we are. And we went in the back way. We didn't know there was a back entrance, so the guards came, or whatever you want to call them, and says, what are you doing here? Get out. We were put out. But we had a good day there before they caught us. Yeah. The girl I worked with, this one, was Virgil. No, her last name was Virgil. Okay? This girl, who was a friend, first name was Virgil.
Well, that's strange, isn't
Right.
it?
Yeah.
That's very weird.
I had a lot of weird things in my life.
Jeez.
Now, he came into my office one day, and he said he wanted an introduction to her. And I said, yeah. I didn't care, so I introduced him. And he says, I'm going to marry that girl. You could see the light in his eyes. He worshipped the ground she
Oh my
worked on.
gosh.
And fortunately, they did get married. Now this is our formation.
This was during one of the parades?
Yeah.
So how
This
many
is the field, you know.
how many women were on the base?
150
Wow.
wax. She's the one that was in that little picture I said that she got transferred.
Oh.
She was our
Mm-hmm. The one who taught you.
sergeant
Training,
that taught us how to
Yeah.
march.
March.
Yeah, she was good. He was a local radio announcer in Arizona who got based in Arizona. So he did a lot of, you know, work for the base. I don't know what that is. This is the Casa Grande ruins.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. That's it. This is me. This is the picture I liked.
Yes, I think you pointed that
And
out.
I had a copy that I sent to Washington when they had the wax monument.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I went there for that week.
I was going to
And
ask you if your name is on all of these
Must be.
monuments and stuff. So forth. Okay.
we had to send a picture of ourselves and, you know. And this is me and Henry.
That's a nice picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great picture.
Your
Yeah.
brother
Yeah.
Henry.
I don't know where they all came from, believe me.
Now, is this the one that's on the banner? Which
No.
picture is on the
No,
banner?
I didn't know I had this. Well, maybe it wouldn't have been any good anyhow. This is my summer uniform. That's my winter.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
that's
they
it.
look exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That should be in a frame.
This other one is the girl that I went away with.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Waterford girl.
And what was her name?
Patronanny.
Patrick?
Patronanny.
Petronanny?
Yeah. Remember, did you know the Patronannies, Rita? Hmm. This was one of the boys that worked in the office with us, and he got transferred. No, he got sent overseas. And I always felt bad because none of him, he went overseas. And I saw him later on, I would visit him, and his wife.
So this is what they.
The young boy I told you died
Mm.
in the beginning, you know.
Yes.
Him, and there was a boy that I released to go over. I took his place as a mimeograph operator.
Oh, okay.
The two of them left together, and both were killed coming off of the boat. They didn't even get to go to war.
It's a
Well,
great
Susie,
album.
thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for sharing this story with us. I think it's incredible, and I'm glad we did it.
Well, there probably was more interesting things that I just, after so many years, I can't remember anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Very good.
yeah.
Thank you again.
You're
All right.
entirely welcome. I don't know what I deserve to do it, but
Well,
yeah.
couldn't have been easy back then either.
No, it wasn't. I'm going to tell you, it was the most pleasurable years of my life. But there's always that stigma in the back. You know, you're worried about my brothers being in service. We never heard from my brother Louis all through service. He was wounded. We didn't know it. We couldn't find him to tell him that his father passed away. You know, none of that. And so there was a lot of
Yeah.
sad moments.
Mm-hmm.
Lost a lot of my friends in WWII.
Oh, it's
I don't know
water.
if you didn't know there was zones. It was, you know, one of our buddies. He
Well-
got killed right away, you know.
My Uncle Jack.
Yeah.
He was in a plane and never came back.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those are the hard. You gotta have, how would you call it, a release
Mm-hmm. Oh,
from
sure.
all that.
Yep.
You know, even though you enjoyed it all, you always felt, you know, in the background, you know, what are you gonna hear next? Well, where I was, we got all the information naturally, so when a plane went down, we got the pictures of the plane.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
So once in a while you get that and you say, oh my God, one of the students died, you know, got killed while practicing. So there were good moments and there were sad moments.
Yeah.
So, I hope this held up long enough for you to look.
Thank you.
You wouldn't mind, but this I think is the second time that's ever been out.
No,
And
it's
how
very
did it get
cool
ruined
that-
like this, I'll never
Yeah.
know.
you know,
Maybe
with-
the mice got out.